We need to leave. We need to get out of America. I've been hearing this shit since I was in them camps. And that's what it sounds like. She sounds like she's a camp female, but she's an older broad. And she's talking about, we need to leave. This is her comment, right? There's nothing in America. It's horrible. We need to get out as soon as possible. And then this is what you ask. Okay, give me some instruction. We need to just go over there and apply for aid. And make sure you have a cushion. You know what they call a cushion when most black folks leave this country and not prepared. I'm not the one that's prepared. For those of you guys who prepared and you buying land and you know what you know what you're doing, you know how to grow food, this is not for you. So please opt out of, leaving a comment. This ain't for you. You know what's going on. I'm talking about the ones that basically get in a conversation, has done no research, basically just leading with 100% fear. Don't have a pot to piss in and when to throw it out. Don't have $300 in their savings account. But you're going to Y2C your ass on a plane. And let's keep it popping. 80% of people, 80%, at least people of color, Negroes, 80% of black folks in America don't even own a passport. And let's just keep it 100. That's 1 in every 2 black people you see in America do not own a passport. So first of all, that right there is not going to happen. Second of all, the average family that are Negro barely have $1,000 in the bank. And this is not to put nobody down. It's just how things are right now. But you get these left-wing women that come on Instagram and TikTok, get in their feelings, and sit there and say, we need to leave. And this heifer can barely put food on the table. And I'm telling you, these are the type of people that's telling y'all to leave and do this, that, and the other. Black people run with fear. Don't think, don't research, don't do anything, but just run, okay? Now, let's talk about the reality of the duality. When you decide to go to these foreign countries, how do you expect to live? You got $300 to $700, and this is what they be doing. They be coming over there with $300 to $700. Now, hold up, watch this. How do you expect to live, right? How do you expect to eat? You understand? What is your transportation? What is your income ratio? How do you expect to develop yourself and infrastructure in a community? You have not gave yourself no objectives on this, but you're going to live in a hotel. Okay. Ask yourself how you are going to generate income. You know what 99% of black folks would say, and white people, you can work remotely. Y'all, that is the biggest bullshit in the world. That is a convolution scenario to resolve issues when trying to find the right answer. And the truth of the matter is, remote is not paying you to go to no overseas and work and convert your money over to U.S. currency to their currency. That is a lie. Most people that go overseas already set up, or they have a middle person to get them some employment. You're sitting there standing on a lie that you can just work in America and Y2C your ass to Colombia. Let me ask you this. How's the internet service over there? I know some people think they can go to Nicaragua and then escape. Did you know Nicaragua internet service is bad as when it first came out, when AOL had dial-up? How you going to work? See, these are things you're supposed to ask yourself when people are on a bandwagon talking about working remotely. You really think you're going to achieve that dream by getting a job and trying to work remote? You got to consider everything. Let's talk about things that you're used to here. Overseas, there's no postal system. Take a country like Panama, which is really nice, Costa Rica, there's no postal mail. Did you know that? They have a thing called units. And basically, you buy a box, and what they do is try to subsidize that box connection with Miami. Then Miami would send it to Nicaragua, or they would send it to Panama. Then you pick it up at one of their facilities. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times when people decide to live in Nicaragua, Panama, they go to Miami and create a mailbox. And then from Miami, it's mailed to Panama if you live in Panama. Nicaragua don't receive a lot of packages. It's come in a remote area because most packages don't get mailed in to Nicaragua. It's imported and they don't come in regularly. They may come in once a month, once every 2 weeks. It's like Africa. They don't get a lot of importations into the unit. It comes in Pacific or certain areas. So this is what you got to ask yourself. There is no Amazon. There is no eBay. The mailing system sucks. So if you're thinking about working through the mail system or being affiliate, it's not going to happen. You have to ask yourself, how am I going to survive in a foreign country, not knowing the lingo, not having no income, and how I'm going to make money in their country? Have you asked yourself that? Because all I hear is a bunch of degenerates telling y'all to leave. And I say one thing, where you running to? And they all say the same thing, man, America getting like this, man, we're going to do something. Who was we? Why do everybody have to have your issue? You seem to have the issue to want to leave. But truth of the matter is, they scare shitless. Black people run with fear. So they need other black people to coincide their bullshit to make them feel like this may be just the right move to make. When in doubt, it's not. The difficult way, the starvation way. People with children are not too quick to uproot their family and try to make it on a beer budget. You have maybe 2 to 3% families that do that and go to Africa. Uproot their family, go to Ghana, go to Tanzania. They do these things, but the percentage is very minute. I mean, it's totally small. You just don't get millions of black people who go uproot their family and just go to Africa. That's just not going to happen. It doesn't make sense. So, as I said before, 80% of black people in America don't even own a passport. So for that reason alone, you're not going nowhere. It's not. Cuba do not want Americans in their country. You're probably saying why? Because when Americans went to Cuba, they did a lot of recording in Cuba. They showed the lifestyle, they showed the difficulties, and they just showed the struggles. But people in Cuba did not feel there was a struggle. They're used to that. To them, that's everyday life. See, depression is that way. If you're raised in a depression household or town or government community, you don't feel there's a struggle because every day people are struggling. To you, it's what's called the norm. But when you're outside looking in, you saw it as an issue. You saw they didn't have internet. You saw a lot of their food was not up to par. They couldn't refrigerate a lot of their food. It sit out all day, all night. You saw that it was just a lot of things that was not there. So what happens? Well, people were making videos about Cuba in their own light. Well, a lot of the government saw that, and they felt that Cuba was being exportated. Now, I'm not making this up, guys. There's a lot of, if you notice right now, do you see a lot of videos on Cuba? Okay. Americans was going to Cuba, and they was putting a lot of information, like content. And I don't know what happened. They pissed somebody off, and they got to where they don't want Americans in their country. And I'm not making it up. Maybe they, and most of the guys that live in that country, they know that it's exploitation. You're using their women for your content. And you really are. You go to their country and you totally disrespect their women. You show how easy it is to date them. You show how easy to get them in bed. Now you act like we ain't showing our Pornhub, but that's in a sense you are, man. You go in there, you look at every time you see a guy that's from America that goes to the DR, Colombia, Venezuela, any of these countries, you know, the women out there's hot as hell, right? So they wear bikers and flip-flops. Niggas don't do nothing but record ass shots all day, all night, and they put that shit on YouTube for content. So you don't think the locals see that? You don't think these people don't even have internet? Most of them don't even have a hotspot. So you get these guys that get on the internet, the gurus, and tell y'all we need to start thinking. No, you need to start thinking. Because you can keep running, and all you're going to do is run from the grease to the frying pan. There is no solution for running from indignation. You can't run from trouble. I ain't telling you to move away to get a better outlook, but y'all talking about closing camp, the hell with America. How can you say the hell with some place and you can barely pay your rent? Just listen to what you're saying before you say it. Black people run with fear because you can't pay the car note. And the only reason that 90% of black women want to leave America is because they're heavily in debt. Let me say that one more time. 90% of black women want to leave America. Not just theoretically. I'm talking about the ones that's talking about leaving. This is 90% that talk about leaving wants to get out of America because they can't pay that car note. They're tired of hiding their car note. They're 2 or 3 months behind in their bills. Or for it's like a rent or foreclose on a house down there ready. They can't afford daycare. All of these things they get and unleash that we need to go. No, this ain't a we thing. This is a you. And then I know you have black men say, what about the black men? They feel the same way. Well, black men don't have debt. They just walk away. If a black man don't have enough for his car, he gonna hide it for a minute, but he gonna say, man, fuck it, he gonna get this thing. You feel me? A black dude live in a shelter. He'll live in a border house. They don't have no scruples. This is not a man thing. This is a woman's thing. When dudes talk about relocate, especially men, they on a pussy trail. They ain't thinking about nothing but they dick. They ain't thinking about infrastructure, economics. They thinking about how many women they're gonna screw. And this is facts, black or white. When black guys and white guys talking about leaving America, they ain't talking about building a business. They talking about going out there, screwing a chick, shacking up with somebody. And I know people don't want to hear it that way. It's facts. So when women talk about leaving the country, they have a lust factor, but 90% leaving because they done created debt they can't pay and they want to escape from it. Does that make more sense now? Well, all these women on Instagram talking about we need to leave because they didn't got a situation they can't handle. And when they're in pain, they want everybody to feel their pain. They can't afford, and they ain't got just a car, they got cars. They got cars that are co-signing for their daughter. You know, they got trucks and shit. Did you know the average person that has a family and they pay their $4,000 or $5,000 in car notes? There's a Jeep outside. There's 2 new cars outside. Some of them even have like an RV. And I'm not making this shit up. And they cannot afford it. These are the people that want to relocate because they are heavily in debt and they're trying to run from what they have created. Pathogen that's in your brain cell that you have to control. And since you was raised around fear, you soaked in fear, you ate fear. You know, you can eat a meal at somebody's house and they got so much fear in their blood and in their thoughts. They put that fear in the food, and you're eating that food, and even though it tastes good, you take it on all their fear. Fear just doesn't be a physical being. Fear is also in food. Fear is also in clothing. Fear is also in the atmosphere of breathing. So if you're around fearful people that's telling you to leave America and don't know why, because it's hard out here, those people will incite your thoughts. They will get in your food, they'll get in your blood system, and you're going to be reliving the next 30 years in fear. You're going to teach it to your kids, your nieces, your nephews, and that's what happened to you. Your parents, your uncles and aunts felt and taught you fear. And now you in your mid-30s, 40s, and 50s, and you're doing the same thing. You don't even know why you want to leave. You say it's because it's hard. It's hard everywhere. But what's the real reason? It's fear. You fear that the country gonna collapse and you ain't gonna have nothing to eat. But you haven't gave it 2 seconds to think Nicaragua is just as great. Panama ain't gonna have that problem. Why wouldn't they? Because you haven't gave it no thought. You thought until you get to Panama, you feel just as empty as you did when you're sitting in America. Is it Panama? Is it Costa Rica? So what is it making you have this anxiety of emptiness? It's your fear. See, no matter where you go in life, you can have a pocket full of money. You can have $1 million, but until you understand why you have this thing in you that creates all this animosity and fear, you're going to be a lost, trapped soul no matter where you go. Black people run with fear. They lied to you all your life. Ever since emancipation, you was always in fear. No matter what happened, you was there in fear. And even today, you think like a slave. You act like a slave. You carry yourself as a slave. You worried about everything that everybody think about you. That's a slave mind. You worry about if white people gonna like you. That's a slave. You worry about if white people gonna accept you. That's a slave. You worry about if they will think that you're a good guy, good girl. That's a slave. As slaves, we always wonder how the world perceives us. Will they accept us? Can we sit at their front tables? Can we drink their water fountains? Can we walk in the same line? See, you have never lost that fear of slave mentality. And now that you're grown, you teaching it to your children, your nieces and nephews. You have a slave mentality. And you will never shake it because the fear outweighs the reality. And you don't have a reality. Your reality is fear. Fear has made you a slave. And this is why a lot of black folks is important for white people to like them. It's important for white people to accept them. It is important for white people to accept them in the neighborhood. It's important for them to be a part of their fraternities, sororities. It's important for them to be a part of their firefighting team. Why do black folks fight so hard for white folks to accept them? Because that's what you did during the slave times. And it was taught from generation after generation. So even though we're in 2025, your parents, your aunties, your uncles still think like Kunta Kinte. And no matter what you do, it's a generational curse that plays year in and year out. History, constantly repeating. Until you break that cycle, your people ain't gonna change. See, just check me out. I'm the only one in my family that broke the cycle. And there's a lot of walkers out there. But I'm the only one that broke the cycle. And they still look at me from afar. He's still crazy. See that? You can't change stupid. You can't change fear. That may be just one of you in your bloodline. You may just be that one that had to say, I gotta get away. I love my family, but I love them more far away. The Most High didn't tell you that everybody had to change. It may be one. You may have 1,000 relatives, but you're the one that's going to change. Look, I'm a prime example. I'm the only one in my generation, in my family bloodline, that think like Yash Kara. And I'm telling you facts. So don't give it to me saying, well, yeah, it's easy for y'all. No, it's not easy. My family raised up Christians and Baptists and Protestants, Catholic, all that shit, all these denominations. But they have never thought like human beings. They thought fear. Their biggest conception is to get white folks to like them. I kid you not, I'm not bullshitting. As I said before,